Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Pinball Arcade. So last time we did Centaur, let's move on to this one. Fathom. Interesting. I could not, for the life of me, make out that logo from the icon. This one does have a pro mode, so it will probably be... I'm going with the assumption that anything that has a pro mode is at least a version 2 of the Pinball Arcade engine. Um, and a nautical theme is kind of unique, certainly.
Help me!
I was not expecting it to scream, "Help me."
Fathom.
But yeah, this might be a decent table, but it is also one I don't recognize. Fathom came out in 1990, which is weird because the table before that was 19. No, Fathom came out in 1980, but the table before that was 81. So there seems to be either a terrible system that they have as far as sorting things by year, or there's perhaps something more to it. I feel like a lot of this information is just straight up stolen, for lack of a better term, from the Internet Pinball Database, which has really no affiliation. When you're clicking the manual button and it's launching a website to a website that FarSight Studios, the makers of Pinball Arcade, doesn't run, and the link is down. That really feels like they had fandom there, but they maybe didn't sign the deals or create the relationships well enough. And I'm sure the Internet Pinball Database really didn't want to have anything to do with any specific uh, pinball emulating game anyways, because there's probably going to be other competition. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of pinball fans, at least in the old days, were very snooty around the idea of emulating pinball, which in all fairness, emulation of pinball is nowhere close to actually playing pinball. It's just now in 2021 it's pretty impossible to have a decent number of people have ever even played pinball once in their life. uh, Fathom is a classic table designed by Ward Pemberton with art by Greg Ferraris. This beautiful table plunges players into the waters of a deep lagoon infested with a vicious sea nymphs, so it might be selling on sex. We'll see. Free the balls locked in the cave and lagoon for double and triple playfield score. So this is going to be, I think, one of these multi-balls where the number of balls on this table determines the score multiplier. Dive down the reversed return lanes, set outside the out lanes, shoot the 1, 2, 3 targets in order to light up the hurry up extra ball, and build your dual bonuses, each with their own multiplier. Danger sea nymphs await in Fathom. 3,500 units were produced. What gets me here is this is the second table in a row where we've had goals to hit the 1, 2, 3s in order. And I guess pretty much if it says 1, 2, 3, we have to assume that they want you to do it in order. And you can potentially suspect, even if it's letters spelling something out, or even if it was A, B, C, D, that there might be a reward for spelling things in order. Let's look at the flyer. Wow, this is a very different flyer. And I was having a hard time kind of figuring out what company had even made this. It turns out it's a Bailey table. So the entire flyer, first front page, is just a comic book. And you have a guy scuba diving and a girl in a bikini. We'll probably see more blondes than anything. It's a Bailey ship. And then the back side of the flyer is actually talking about the pinball table. So yeah, as you really have to question this, like flyers like these, once again, not handed to the general public. It's not like Bailey was trying to convince people going to arcades to convince the arcade to buy a specific table. We never hit a point like that. Pinball tables are just too expensive. I would imagine almost anybody would be kicked out if they suggested an arcade buy a table just to please one customer.
Surface fathom.
And we don't have a lot of speaking, and that is pretty weird sound effects there too. So we have a bunch of instructions there that I can't even make out 10 feet away. That's really small. Clearly they made these cards so that you could change the cost. Like 4 plays is $1, 1 play is $0.25. So this is a cheaper pinball table. We have a guy, and then we have a bunch of mermaids, which they're calling nymphs. And it's very detailed artistry and fairly dark too. Like this is very close to what the DirectX 9 tables kind of look like, where you would just have darker imagery. Here you have an anchor and another nymph. There is implied toplessness here. Each character has their hair or a light up thing going over a breast. You've got some sharks and some corals, and then you've got a scuba diver guy, I assume, and then another mermaid. These, I assume, are closer to the dangerous mermaids that will try and drown you than the fantasy mermaids that will just try and sleep with you. And then, oddly, the bikini went from yellow to red in the girl on top of the surface, and it's I suppose an interesting thought to have the surface of the water depicted. So, yeah, fathom is a measurement of depth under the water. I know that much, but not that much. It looks like you have 3 drop down targets and then a sink hole, and then a out lane that would sometimes it's kind of a reversed in lane and out lane. The in lane is furthest to the right and the out lane is straight down unless you can nudge it. It's kind of an odd gap there. No bump backs and no central pegs and probably no ball saver. Interesting. And we can see you'll get specials by going down the out lanes, which again, the out lane is on the right and the in lane is on the left. At least that's how I describe it. You've got some drop targets, you got 1, 2, 3, you've got mostly inline bumpers. They're kind of close to each other. You have a slightly angled ABC area, and then you have this ramp, which you probably want to get particularly good at, with some, I assume, rollover targets, and then some drop down targets that must pop up at some point to land in the, what is that, lagoon trap versus cave trap. So you have 2 different places. You also have a lane on the right here that would put you down in a section. So there's this like upper section that then has a long metal gate, so it's outwards only, and they had to put 2 bumpers to make sure that long metal gate didn't bend with the force potentially that you might hit it with. And I imagine that probably did bend over time anyways, being that uniquely designed. There's a lot of art going on in the lower playfield, and I would say you kind of have something here with this right trigger and these drop down targets. So it's not a 100% completely empty lower playfield, but it's still like a lot of the other tables where there's not a lot going on. Alright, well, let's go ahead and jump into the game. It's taking me 10 minutes just to look at a table before I even play, which, in all fairness, that is accurate to how I would have played any pinball table in the real world, is that I probably would have spent 10 minutes watching either someone else play, if someone else was playing, or just looking at the track screen and looking at the table before I ever would put any money into it, because you want to do at least a little bit of research. So there's ABC rollovers, lock a ball in the cave, lock a ball in the lagoon, complete the left drop targets, and earn an extra ball. An extra ball is the only one that I don't really immediately know how to do. Suppose we could check to see if the game setup is ever going to let us have more coins or more balls, but I think that's all going to be behind the operator menu. Very quiet until the game starts. And I've accidentally selected a different skin. This is one of those tables where you want to light up the bumpers, I imagine, for higher scores. So we're gonna just have to warm up a little bit. And kind of a consistent pulsing sound that's potentially annoying. It seems like it randomly picks one of the
mermaid's trap.
Wow,
Dive again.
That was an easy ball lock. We might have another table here that is fairly easy. Man. And this is definitely a table where you're going to want to avoid in lanes and out lanes as much as possible. We do have a lane selector. I'm not sure if I can actually get up that lagoon shot, or if it is just angled in such a way that you can't actually make that shot. You can kind of feel like some of these tables were copying ideas without having a new idea to expand on that.
Danger, mermaids released.
And at a certain point it is just a level of people feeling obliged to have talking in their table. Very much a gimmick-based industry, more than pretty much any other industry we've ever seen. I'd say maybe we're hitting that point with cell phones where every cell phone has a need to have some kind of gimmick around it, but I thought I just lost there. I forgot to, I'm gonna have a real hard time remembering that the in lanes are the out lanes and the out lanes are the in lanes. You pretty quickly also get a feel on most tables whether or not the bumpers will ever bounce the ball back up the rollover. So not a bad first couple of games. I almost had 1, 2, 3 in sequence too, just by dumb luck. I should have tried to nudge that.
Mermaid's trap. Dive
The theme of this table is weird because it's kind of not in connection with the art. Like, it's if they're saying mermaids trapped, is that not an indication that the man is the bad guy, not the mermaids? Like, wouldn't it be something else is trapped? Or maybe the mermaids are the bad guys and you defeat them by trapping them? But I wouldn't immediately jump to that conclusion. If anything, since the way it's lined up,
Dive again.
I would just either say balls trapped or help I'm trapped. Or diver trapped. So what starts multi-ball becomes the question. Because I don't know. And this is one of the worst elements of pinball tables, is when you have like 2 balls trapped, or even 1 ball trapped, and then you lose the game and you just watch the table release those trapped balls and you drain out without you having any control on the flippers.
Mermaids trap. Dive again. Mermaids trap.
So we're ready for a
Dive again.
multi-ball. And I guess the question would come down to, what if this was just a fishing themed table? Is that too generic and too boring? Or do we need mermaids? Do we need the deep, dangerous depths? Probably so. Like, I don't think going in extreme with your art design and theme changes much or waters down the experience. It's like, with the exception of like the Mario Brothers table, there's very few pinball tables that feel like they are 100% designed for little kids and trying to be particularly kid friendly. They instead are trying to be teenager friendly. You can even see that in the design of pinball tables in general, is that they are designed at a height where an adult or a teenager would be standing not at the height of where a young elementary schooler would be standing. And very often there would be stools and things that for kids, younger kids, to stand on to play pinball. Of course, it would be kind of crazy to design a pinball table that was at the height of an elementary kid, because then you're effectively creating something like the custom little toilets that they put in elementary schools where they were like a foot off the ground. And no adult in their right mind could ever sit on one and not break their knees.
Danger, mermaids released.
Okay. Why did that only release 1 though?
Mermaids trap. Dive again.
I don't fully understand the score multiplier that goes here. I'm doing the top lanes. I think I just got an extra ball, which I thought that was a goal.
Fathom.
Let's see. So what are our standard goals? Earn an extra ball. I guess I earned a credit. To earn an extra ball on this table, complete the 1, 2, 3 in numerical number to light the extra ball for 10 seconds. Each drop target hit scores 900 points. Shoot the extra ball and score 25,100 points, which that's an odd number. Shooting the extra ball also lights the spinner for the rest of the current ball, or not. The end of ball bonus is made up of the blue bonuses and the green bonuses, double bonuses. 1,000 points is added to both blue and green bonuses when the B lane is completed. 1,000 is added to the blue bonus when the A lane is completed. And left return and right out lane is completed. Blue multiplier target shot when the blue is lit. Seems like there's kind of a crazy system here. Yeah. Seems like there's a real crazy system, and I would like to get these drop-down targets to pop up, but it seems like you have to do quite a lot to get those drop-down targets to pop up in the first place. It feels like they specifically put some elements here, and in testing realized those elements don't really work. So they've hidden them behind fairly difficult triggering mechanisms. Because if I basically understood that, what they wanted us to do is always do the top lanes with B being the last one lit for your best response. But inherently what that really just means is do the top lanes quite a lot of times. So this easily could be a table that for the wizard goals, if we make it to the wizard goals, will ask you to score a fairly large amount of points, and that would just really only happen if I got very, very lucky. The extra ball being an element too certainly is highly unlikely to happen. You gotta do 1, 2, and 3 in order, then in 10 seconds hit the standing target. A standing target shot, which you would have to probably practice quite a bit. If it was just hit 1, 2, and 3, and then 10 seconds to hit the extra ball, that would be a fairly too easy extra ball. So I don't know if there's a real solution either way, if it's going to involve just... That was an incredibly late nudge there.
Fathom.
Yeah. Generally, I think this would be just a table, like many tables, that would benefit from giving an extra ball a certain number of points.
Mermaid's trap. Dive again.
Multi-ball might help you a little bit. This table is trying to help you a decent amount by not forcing you to use the in lanes or out lanes much. But yeah, as you're trying to do the 1, 2, 3, like we've seen this on other tables. As you're trying to do the 1, 2, 3, you're either risking the ball draining, or there you go, an actual successful nudge. Alright, so if I could hit the 3 and get the ball back down and hit the hit the free ball, I could have gotten an extra ball there. But honestly, I'm better off just trying to get a multi-ball, just getting better at the shots to get the ball into the cave and into the lagoon.
Dive again.
So there I hit a drop down target. So this might be more of a case of just needing to get up those ramps after you've locked the balls multiple times. This is a very nudge necessary table. And I definitely have a habit of flipping both flippers, which in a lot of pinball tables, just because of the way the power supplies would work, flipping both tables would tend to mean you're getting less power in a specific shot.
Danger, mermaids released.
So, of course, when you're doing multi-ball, there's really no way to avoid that. Just want everything to keep going.
Mermaids trap.
I guess you can just keep on trapping them, and you can keep on trying for multi-balls, and you can keep on going, and eventually you'll get an extra ball. It definitely does create a scenario here where you could easily play for 2 or 3 hours on a table that you don't even particularly enjoy. I'm not like a lot of the tables that we've seen in the 80s, that of the ones that I am just not super enthralled with. This is a fine table, there's nothing to really complain about it, but it's not knocking my socks off by any means. Arguably this does kind of have that Seagate deep sea vehicle vibe, where it's trying to do something interesting underwater, when naval movies and underwater movies are just kind of a sub niche that isn't as well appreciated as sci-fi is. Sure, there was quite a few movies based on like military naval experiences, and there were some fantasy sci-fi ones that happened, but those are kind of exceptions to the rule, much like how Titanic is a really successful movie, but it didn't lead to a whole bunch of Titanic clone movies after that.
Dive again.
It's really James Cameron's love for the sea more than anything that has created a certain level of success for those movies.
Mermaid's trap. Dive again.
So, yeah. Sure, there were books and like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, for instance. There were books like that came out and they had some success, but I suppose there's just a bit of an understanding of what is in the ocean as far as where people can actually reach enough that we know that there isn't going to be a crazy alien species of intelligence in under the ocean. And certainly the space race pushed people more to be interested in space than the ocean. I suppose there was a sea race at some point back in the time of pirates and like British colonial rule, but that's about it. Even now in 2021 there's some amazing naval boats out there, but nobody really cares that there's amazing military naval boats on the ocean, other than for military reasons that we care they exist. There is definitely a problem with the drop-down target in the lagoon. Come on, there's the extra ball. Get it. Gonna run out of time. Almost hit it. I hit it, but I was too late. What am I supposed to hit to bring it back? Can I hit just the 1, 2, 3 out of order and bring it back? Nope, that didn't do it.
Fathom.
Well, that was annoying. Let's see, exactly what I predicted would happen happened. I would get 1, 2, 3 and then fail to hit the extra ball. I don't like the booming sound effect. Like, this is probably one of the most annoying sound effects I've heard for a pinball table so far. I don't like the voice at all. It's very tinny. For a brief while, they would put audio magnetically on wire instead of tape. I still don't think, though, with nudging that you would be able to play a sound effect that way. I imagine it is all just pre-recorded chips, just a separate chip with sounds encoded into it, and then played back. Oh, this is another one of those tables where the lane only changes when you pull the right trigger, not the left trigger. It's suppose there is probably a truth to the fact that a lot of the technology in individual pinball tables are copy and pasted designs from other tables. So the fact that only the left trigger advances the lanes might have more to do with the design of the who designed it and what chip they're using, what circuitry, and what wiring they're using. Yeah. I think all tables though need to be careful to, if not put drop down targets that are going to bounce the ball directly back the way it came. You never want a ball to end up going back down the same ramp. See, I just got a credit there, but not an extra ball. Which I guess ideally, if I was going to design a table, I would always put a one-way gate on any ramp that is somewhat likely to drain towards the center.
Mermaid's trap. Dive again.
And figure some other way for it to drain back, drain it directly into the in lanes with ramps. Would be my ideal suggestion there. Which we've still yet to see a table actually use ramps. We've seen them use a tube, but not just metal tube ramps.
Danger, mermaids released.
Alright.
Yes.
Come on. Free ball. Extra ball. Did I hit it? I don't think I did hit it. Oh, we've got a sound effect playing, but I have no idea what I'm trying to hit. Unless it's just that far lane up there on the left. Or it's the out lane, or in lanes. Like, or it just makes the sound effect for the rest of the ball regardless. So that's like twice now where we've lit the extra ball and failed to actually hit the extra ball.
Dive again.
This table actually has a kind of shockingly small number of blinking lights. Like, it's not really directing you to different directions. Just trying to keep the ball in play. Again, just playing by instinct. But it all kind of doesn't matter. If I get 1 million, 2 million, 3 million on a table like this, I just don't care. And you still get the same pathetic ball drains at the end. So, like, I honestly don't even want to play this anymore. So, let's turn on operator mode. Let's turn on ball control mode. Let's see what options we even have. At the end of the game, the locks could be held instead of released, which means the next player would be. Bonus special, lit on blue and green S5, lit on blue and green 55. Lit on blue or green, not and. Extra ball time could be 6 seconds instead of 10 seconds. ABC special, 1 per ball. Inline drop targets dropped. Drops are held, drops are reset. 1 to 10 bonus recall, lid is held, lid is reset. Lid is held. Match on. Still don't really know what match means. Oh, match means at the end whether you get a free game or not. Credits displayed are off. Replays per game could be limited to 1 per ball. Attract mode could be turned off completely. Balls per table could be as low as 2, as high as 5. Alright. So you can go in operator mode and potentially have a slightly better experience, as this takes forever to load. But I don't think by too much. And inherently for Pinball Arcade, if you do want to have a better experience and you've already gotten all the wizard goals, there really is no reason to not go into operator mode and give yourself 5 balls for a lot of these tables. There has yet to be a table I have ever seen that did not play better when you had 5 balls instead of 3. And at a certain point, maybe if you could do 10 balls instead of 5, that would make it even better. Or just infinite balls. Because the whole idea of having lives in video games is pretty much dead at this point. Nobody really wants to run out of lives. Nobody really wants to have to hit continue or run out of continues. Those are all concepts built around a capitalist greed around charging a quarter to play. Once you've owned the game, you should just be able to play it all the way to the end. And that's why you see so many like first-person shooter games where you pretty much can't ever actually die. Just the screen mostly gets just blurry, and then you regen health, and if you actually do die, it's usually a game that will autosave and make it pretty much impossible to actually lose. The vast majority of games I play now, I never see a continue screen. The vast majority of games that I play on easy difficulty settings or normal difficulty settings. I just have no desire to waste my time on trying to do something that might be fairly skilled and might make me look or feel like I'm a better player than I really am. The irony here is if I do get an extra ball, so I'm going to take over ball control at this point.
Danger, mermaids released.
I wanted to see.
Danger, mermaids released. Danger, mermaids released. Mermaids trapped.
Okay. What is the sound effect indicating? Like, even using ball control, it is so wonky.
Yes. Air tanks refilled.
So that's what the extra ball sounds like. And yeah, I just can't see anything else to hit. There's just nothing on the table.
Danger, mermaids released. Danger, mermaids released.
And now it's just playing so many sound effects that it doesn't even have enough room during the multi-ball to bring back the danger sound.
Mermaids
It really just feels like it's
Dive
glitched,
again.
and it's just playing that sound for no reason, or it's there to indicate that that standing target
Dive
is
again.
is a higher reward, but to play a sound effect just to indicate that you're getting a higher reward is ridiculous.
Ah. Ah.
Let's see. You can see there's a special here that gave me an extra ball. And there's a wall here, a one-way gate. So unless there was anything other than a slingshot somewhere, that there really is just no more targets.
Ah. Danger, mermaids released. Mermaids trapped.
So even if I was going to play this
Dive
table
again.
a lot, I probably would turn down the audio and just listen to music. Like this is a pretty awful table. And I still don't think we got to the blue or the
Now
green
you've
55.
done it. Dive again.
Nope, those are lit, and then because I changed the way those work, they stayed lit.
Ah.
I don't know where the 55 number comes from, what that means or what that is implying. Yeah, usually if I'm irritated with a table, it's because of either how it looks or how it plays. This is like the first one I've run into that I'm irritated with the way it sounds. We're at the like 3 ball out of 5, so, and we're already up to 3 million. And yeah, no duh. It's a better experience when you have more balls and when things carry over between ball and you don't have to start over at square one. Even later tables, though, don't fully embrace that mentality. There's plenty of older tables where you still have to start all over again. Star Trek: The Next Generation is probably a great example of a table where it probably should not start you back at square one, because there's just so many missions you're supposed to go on and accomplish on that table, and it's not like it's particularly easy to even start a mission, because there's one specific place that you have to shoot the pinball to start a mission, and if you're in a mission, then that one specific place doesn't start a new mission, so you have limited opportunities to actually start missions. Then you have to actually successfully finish each mission,
Mermaid's trap.
which that in itself can be
Dive
very
again.
difficult. And being so complicated does make Star Trek The Next Generation a pinball table worth going
Danger,
back
mermaids
to
released.
a lot more than most tables. But it can also lead to a level of frustration where you know that there's something you're supposed to be doing and you're just not succeeding at actually having that thing happen. It is really weird how much the sex sells equals a bad game assumption works. So far we are banning basically 1,000, where there isn't a single table that has had scantily clad women on it that hasn't been somewhat worse than tables that didn't have that. I guess Pinbot might be the table that finally gets away from that, or Bride of Pinbot.
Fathom.
Yeah, you put in a high score, but it doesn't get counted, which that seems like weird programming. So yeah, did I put Black Hole on the favorites? I'm gonna retroactively favorite Black Hole, but yeah, I don't find Fathom particularly that interesting, and that's fine. I didn't find Centaur that interesting either. Regardless, we have Haunted House, and I think there's a decent chance that like Space Shuttle, if it's the game I'm thinking of, is actually an amazingly good game. If it's the one I'm thinking of, it has like 18 ball multi-ball potentially, or something, some really ridiculously high number there. But yeah, we're going to have at least 3 really good tables on this next row of tables, and then we've got a whole nother row for the 80s and a half. And then as we just creep up to more modern things, I feel like standards probably get increased more and more, and we might, by the time we're halfway through the second or third row of the 90s, be hitting 6, 7, 8 out of 8 tables being good. You can even kind of tell that because while this first row has 2 non-pro modes, there's all pro modes for the remainder of the tables until this one here, Theater of Magic, which again, the ones that don't have pro modes are probably the first tables that were ever released, and sadly some of those are pretty good tables and deserved remasters. And I guess that would have been where Pinball Arcade should have renegotiated or better negotiated in the past, is to be able to add a pro mode or remaster the first tables and go in circles, just touching up their tables if they weren't going to get any new licenses or make any new tables. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.